All right, hey fellow babies, welcome to Pachter Factor live on SIFTD.net. We are hopefully you're watching as a Patreon patron. If so, thank you so much for your support. If you're a subscriber at YouTube, thank you. You're getting this stuff real time. You don't have to wait. It will be not live if you're not a subscriber. Please try to remember to link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account, and that'll help us get paid. It costs you nothing. You are sticking it to Amazon. You pay nothing. You're already paid for that. And Amazon is willing to pay us because you have been thoughtful enough to remember to link those accounts. So thank you if you can do that. The goal of Pachter Factor Live is to just be current on whatever the topic of the week is. We actually have a couple of topics this week, so I'm going to take one right now. It's the PS5 Pro launch. And I think that, you know, the undercurrent is, what is Sony trying to accomplish with this? We all know that they had a PS4 Pro, and that was a pretty big upgrade to the PS4. We had a lot of people buy one, and it was so good that it appears that a lot fewer people are interested in upgrading to a PS5 because the PS4 Pro runs games at such high frame rate and such high, clarity. We've had cooperation from the publishers for the last couple of years. Typically in a cycle, the publishers will force everybody to switch over to the next generation. And that normally happens on the first anniversary of the console launch. And you'll start to see one or two games from third-party publishers that are exclusive to the next gen, to the newest gen console. And almost always by the second anniversary, games that are kind of every year games like a Call of Duty, like a Madden Football, will be exclusive on next gen, and they'll kind of phase out the old gen. That didn't happen this year. So this cycle. So back in 2020, we had the PS5 and the Xbox Series launch, and you would have normally expected games to trickle in the fall of 21, and kind of half of them in fall of 22 would be exclusive on PS5 and Xbox Series. And by 2023, they'd all be exclusive. That still hasn't happened. I mean, there's been one or two third-party games that I can think of that have been exclusive. So the point is that it's happening, and it's happening slowly. And I think Sony's goal here, to be honest, is to raise price. I recognize that Sony is telling you they're giving you something better with this PS5 Pro. And in fact, it is. It's a nicer, faster console. The graphics card is better. The frame rate is better. The question is, will any games made for PS5 only take advantage of that? So, one of the launch titles was Assassin's Creed Shadows, and that was going to be not PS5 exclusive, but would be on PS5 and would be upscaled to work on PS5 Pro. That game got delayed. I'll talk about that in the next episode. But most of the games you're seeing are older remastered games. So you're not seeing a lot of content yet developed for it. So I'd say there's no real reason to buy a PS5 Pro. I get people saying, I'm going to buy one to future-proof, which is what happened with PS4 Pro. People said, I want to make sure that I'm ready for all this upscaled great stuff, which really never came to the PS4 cycle either. And that's why the PS4 Pro was a good substitute for the PS5. As we're getting a higher percentage of games, so it was like 0% in 2021, maybe 30% in 2022. Now we're up to like 50, 60, 70% that are PS5 exclusive. By 24, it's 80% this year. It'll be 100% a year from now. So interesting question will be Grand Theft Auto, which hasn't really been announced. I mean, they just said it's coming in 2025. Will those guys make it PS5 exclusive? I kind of suspect they might not. It'd be interesting because they'll be leaving 40, 50 million units on the table. Now, I did just meet with Take-Two. One of the questions that an investor that I was with asked was, what's the addressable market for GTA 6? And the CEO said, well, we expect the next gen console installed base to be 130 million by the end of 2025, early 26, which sounds right. I mean, that's roughly 90 million, 100 million PS5s and roughly 30, 40 million Xbox. That's probably right. So he implied that it would be exclusive, but I'm curious to see. I'm really curious. But again, we don't know. So that'll be a reason to upgrade as well. The real point here is that consoles were always $300, you know, from the 90s through the mid 2000s. And then they went up to 400, and you know, Sony tried to charge whatever 600 for the PS3, something like that. Then they went to 400 pretty consistently, and everybody was worried back in 2013 if the PS4 would be. The PS4 was worried if the Xbox would be, you know, priced cheaper, and it wasn't. It came in at, I think, $499. So Sony was able to price it $399. Now they're $500, and Sony just raised the price on the core PS5. So you know, the PS5 Pro is $700 without a hard drive. That's not hard drive, without disk drive. Excuse me. That's a lot. And you know, I think that the point here is that the console manufacturers used to subsidize the purchase of the console because they want to make money selling you software. They've now kind of evolved where we're all buying fewer games, but we're playing them longer, and we're playing things like Ultimate Team, like GT Online, that drive a lot of in-app purchases. We're playing Fortnite, we're playing Apex Legends, that drive a lot of in-app purchases. And the console manufacturers know that they're going to make money anyway, so they seem less incentivized to subsidize the purchase by offering you something at $100 below cost. Nintendo's never done that. They've always made a profit. Sony looks like they finally figured that out, and they're going to make a profit. It's a profit deal. We shouldn't criticize them. Obviously, they're in a business to make money, so there's nothing wrong with that. But you're seeing slowing console sales. And I tweeted about this. You know, I said Sony is seeing, you know, declining PS5 sales, and so they decided to raise the price. You know, brilliant. And I had all these people like going, "No, PS5 sales are great," and they're posting all these, you know, charts, and the charts show PS5 sales flatlining and declining. It's crazy. The fact is that Sony was guiding to over 20 million units. Now they're talking about 15. So the number of units they're selling at these higher prices is declining, period. And I think Sony's probably in this for a 10-year cycle. I think that you're not going to see a PS6 until 2030. And I think that's the plan. I'm not sure that we're going to need a PS6 because, again, your eye is going to have trouble discerning a 240 frame rate. You know, it's running at 8K or whatever the next gen is going to do. Your eye's not going to be really able to see that, and you're going to be perfectly happy with 60 frames a second if it's running at 8K. It's going to look brilliant. Remember, film is 24 frames a second. Like, just keep that in mind. That, you know, we all think, you know, what 240 is better than 60. Film movies are 24. You know, so your eye is really happy with 24 if it's in stunning, you know, really super detailed HD. So I think we're getting, you know, to the point where the next gen and the next gen and the next gen are just diminishing returns. You don't get as much graphic fidelity that you can tell about, that you can see. And, you know, Shane and I have a kind of a funny ongoing joke about 4K TV. Like I literally bought my first 4K TV to play PS5. And I watch everything on it, and there's hardly any content. Like Netflix is on it, you know, I can see it, but it doesn't look dramatically better, you know. And my HBO Max account, I think I don't even know if that comes out at 4K. It might. Yeah, I don't know. So I can't tell. So if I watch Industry or I watch a Netflix show, you know, HBO or Max or a Netflix show, I don't even remember that I'm watching on a 4K TV because it looks great, you know. So I think we're at that point of no return, of diminishing return. I think the console business is changing the model to not selling you as much content, but play the content forever and enjoy Call of Duty Warzone as part of the Call of Duty experience and keep generating revenue. So Sony, you know, has this as the live service model, and gamers hate that. You can't lead with live service. Live service has to supplement. I think the guys who have figured out how to do it right are Ultimate Team and GTA Online, because it feels natural. It feels like you're getting more content as part of your game purchasing. You don't have to buy the content if you don't want to. So that's been the evolution of the model. I think that is kind of where we're going. I don't think selling consoles is really the answer anymore. I think Game Pass, which essentially doesn't require a console, is the future. Although, latency is going to continue to be a problem for multiplayer. So people who want to play multiplayer at zero latency are going to keep buying consoles. That's great. Game Pass is going to get better and better and better. But what I think is going to happen is Game Pass is going to bring in 100 million new subscribers, new players who might decide they want to go buy a console. And I think Sony's just trying to make sure if that happens, we can sell them, PS5 Pro. So, well, I'd say PS6 realistically has to be the PS5 Pro on steroids, right? So it has to have all the same components and then upgrade the graphics even more, upgrade the microprocessor if it's possible, even more. So, PS5 Pro runs really comfortably at 60, can run at 120. PS6 has to run at 120 comfortably, so it's got to be faster. This AMD Intel, that's the reason that was news, is because the chip contract is going to be a big deal. And so that they're definitely paying something for the chip, and they're paying more than they're currently paying. So I would guess that 700 is kind of the floor for an entry point for the PS6. I do think that consoles of the future will have no disk drive, so there will not be disks. So buy GameStop. I think GameStop knows that. I think they're winding down, and they're kind of slowly going out of business, so that the CEO there can just run their $4 billion that he raised from the fools who invest in GameStop, the cult. But yeah, I think the next gen consoles have no disk drive. We don't see physical media ever made again. That's one way to cut costs. It runs a little cooler if you don't have all that stuff, and it takes a little less power to run it. But realistically, $700 is kind of the new base price for a console. So that they're telling you that. Now, I say that before the PS5 Pro launches. One of the things in the PS5 Pro introduction was you can reserve a copy, you can pre-order it at PlayStation.com on September 26th. They've done that with PSVR, PSVR 2, and they stuck with that. You couldn't pre-order it at Costco or Walmart or GameStop or Best Buy. This time they said, but on October 10th, two whopping weeks later, you can reserve it at any other retailer. So what Sony's telling us is, we don't expect pre-order volume to be that great. We'll capture the first million, 500,000, whatever, and take advantage, but we need third-party retailers to broadly advertise this thing and take pre-orders. And the device doesn't launch till November 5th. So why would you go to Best Buy or GameStop instead of PlayStation.com? Because PlayStation.com doesn't have a store that you can pick it up in. And Best Buy, GameStop, Costco, Walmart, they'll all get their units. I haven't looked up November 5th. I assume it's a Friday. But they'll all get their units on Tuesday. And so they'll let you know as soon as the unit is in, and you'll get your PS5 Pro a day or two early. So people are going to pre-order through those guys. But my point is, Sony doesn't expect massive orders, or they would keep it all to themselves, which is what they did with VR1 and VR2. I expect that that's really telling you that they are pretty skeptical that a $700 price point is going to resonate with consumers. We'll see. I mean, again, if it sells 10 million units, I will eat my words to say, wow, the PS6 is going to be $800 or $900. Maybe we've had inflation. We pay more for eggs and bacon, so maybe we'll pay more for PlayStations. I don't know. We'll find out. Again, it's here. The fanboy should be happy. You're getting something cool if you have $700. To me, $700 is a lot of money. It's like more than one nice dinner out. How does a kid afford a PS5? It's a lot. It's red. So I do think that Sony is going to survive and thrive for a while. I do think Microsoft's got the right model, and so they're de-emphasizing the console, and you're seeing them cutting price, which I think is really good. I think you'll get some more Christmas deals, so we'll see what happens this holiday. But realistically, the PS5 Pro, nice to have, not essential. Most people who have it aren't going to be able to tell. I called it the 3D TV of consoles. It's like really cool if there's content that you need that hardware in order to access, but there will not be a lot of content because, again, chicken and egg. If there's not a lot of chickens, they don't lay a lot of eggs. And if there's not a lot of eggs, no chickens will be born. The guys who make content, if there's a lot of PS5 Pros, then sure, they'll make content for it. But if there aren't, they won't. So if this thing sells 1 million units and flatlines, nobody's making content for it. If it sells 10 million a year for the next 20 years, sure, everybody make content for it. At $700, I'm betting 1 million, not 10 million. We'll see. If you're a Patreon patron or a YouTube subscriber, or you don't spend any money at all, but you're considerate enough to remember to link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account, you got this real time. And if you did none of those things because you don't have any money and you're too lame to remember that you can stick it to Amazon, it costs you nothing. If you can't remember that, you have to wait a week. So you're getting this not live, you're getting it live plus 7 days. But if you do any of those things, thank you very much. We appreciate it. If not, we understand. And you can find out my pearls of wisdom a week late. We'll see you next time.